Imagine a man moves into a new country, establishes a homestead for himself and his family. And then comes the unfortunate day when out of nowhere comes this immense wall of water, and it washes away his home. For the sake of the story, we won't lose any lives, but immense damage is done. All of his work to that date, washed away. Now, just to bring you into the story, the parallel is when you are carried off by a flood of negativity, pounded by the past, propped up and then dropped like a rock because of your investment in what you call your future. Makes no difference what you call the flood. The bottom line is, the end of such floods, you are reduced to what you were before the waters came, and in some ways worse, because you haven't even the resources that you did when it started, because passing time ensures that you don't have that. Now you can say, well, I learn, and I would challenge that. Because you see, in this instance, just to finish the little story, the man all beleaguered, worn out, run down, meets somebody who, instead of feeling sorry for him, says, did you ever check out the property, the area you live in? I mean, did you ever go explore all the things that could happen relative to where you are? The man said, no, I just cleared the area, basically. I did some exploration, but I never went more than a mile or so. And the gentleman, properly so, said, so I guess that means you didn't know there was that large earthen dam 5 miles upstream from you. What am I saying? I'm saying to you that ignorance is only temporary bliss, and then it's the source of all your suffering. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that unbeknownst to you, and yet you would think that you would have greater interest that you do, is that you live in a world in which there are forces above you and forces beneath you, all acting on you all the time without cease. And the average human being, which we're going to include ourselves as being, have virtually no knowledge whatsoever of the fact that at all times things are acting on them, and not acting on them, at least in one great measure, for their benefit, but acting according to the laws of nature, which the human being asleep to the world around himself or herself has no choice but to obey. It just happens to be one of those truths. You can be washed away 1,000 times in this life, and you have been. Sitting there judging, jealous, angry, greedy, fearful, hating something, wishing something wasn't the way it was. And in those moments, you are in a wall of thoughts and feelings that has descended upon you and carries you away. And instead of wondering how in the world this happened again, the same mind that actually created the earthen dam and that brought all the forces down upon itself by putting itself where that could happen, instead it tries to figure out how to build another dam. Tries to figure out how it can protect itself from what it imagines has happened to it. And when I say it imagines has happened to it, meaning it looks at the forms and the passing conditions that it blames its pain on, instead of understanding that none of those conditions exist were it not for a consciousness that was living where those conditions could act upon it. And so goes humanity. You have to ask yourself the question, if you understand or can feel anything that I'm saying is true, how many discoveries do you make each day about the worlds above you and the worlds beneath you? Because if you don't make a discovery every single day about the worlds above you and beneath you, you live in a world in which you will be washed away again and again and again. There's no exception to that rule. And why haven't I time to make these discoveries? The answer was in the story. I've got to rebuild everything that was washed away. This is the story of Sisyphus rolling the rock up the hill. A sort of eternal purgatory in which one's pain appears over and over again, and no one knows the source of the pain. They only know what something in them points to as being the problem. And then one's life is absorbed in solving problems instead of becoming aware of the consciousness that is innate, that is inherent in the formation of them, and the sense of self that lives that way. Eventually, always looking out to wonder what's coming next. You want to live like that, what's coming next, and then allowing your imagination to use your past to produce the images that then you say, oh, this is what I've got to do, what I must protect. You have that. You have that now. That's what this class is for. That's what these teachings are for, is to begin to get you to understand you are never not sitting in a world in which there is an entire galaxy of forces, an entire universe of higher and lower principles, energies acting on you, all touching you in different ways, in different places, all for the purpose of helping you be awake to the miracle of the fact that when you are present to these forces, they no longer can dominate you. When you are unconscious to them, by that nature, you are under their laws. You must make this choice. I can't make it for you.